Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. My name is Leonard Brackett. Uh, this is the Belizean Affairs Show number 373. 373. We're grateful for your tuning in tonight to hear what we have to offer, and hopefully, we'll have something that will worth your time and effort. Uh, we're running a couple of minutes late, so I'll just go ahead and start off the program for right now. Mr. Wade is supposed to have been our chairman for tonight, but he's not too well at the moment, so we'll just take over on his behalf and do the best we can for tonight. Of course, there's still a lot of things going on. Belizean affairs still continues, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So tonight we might deal with a little bit of the ugly. We leave the good to you to figure out, appreciate, and thank God for. And the bad, well, one way or another, we got to deal with those as well. But more likely than not, from my vantage point, I need to deal with some of the ugly. And so tonight, don't fault me if you feel like I'm running off the rail a little, because that's just the way it rolls when you're dealing with the ugly. And so I'll just proceed as we normally would do on our regular program nights. And I'll bow my head and say a short prayer, after which I'll do a short reading. I'll go ahead and bow my head. Divine loving Father, we come before thy presence once more, asking that thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to thee for having given us the privilege of life, first and foremost, and secondly, for having granted us the opportunity to still be alive among our family members, friends, and loved ones. We pray that thou mayest bless our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, those of us who have, that thou would bless our significant others, that thou would bless our brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts, and all the rest of our extended family members, friends, and loved ones. In a special way, Lord, we commend our country of Belize, its people and leadership into thy hands, asking that thou would take charge and help us to navigate these treacherous circumstances that we are dealing with in our country as national issues, as well as those overbearing international issues that befalls us as well. We pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, that thou would bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership, that thou would bless the rest of humanity as well, loving Father, those who are in earthquake areas, those who are in volcano areas, those who are in storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, and all manner of pestilence and evil on the face of this earth, especially those who are in the area where conflict, wars, and people are losing their lives and limbs and their happiness, their material possessions, all because of greed on the part of those who have and cannot be satisfied. Loving Father, we pray that thou mayest continue to have mercy upon us. Bless this program as we go on tonight with whatever we have to say and do, may it be to the honor and glory of thy kingdom, as well as to the well-being of our country of Belize, its people and leadership. For us his mercies in Jesus' name, amen. Thank you very much for allowing me to indulge in that prayerful endeavor. I'll do a little reading here from, let me see, I'll pick a book here. Let me see which one. I'll pick one of those that's not too difficult. Well, I'll go to Proverbs. I'll read Proverbs chapter 29, starting at verse 1. Reads as follows: He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. When the righteous are in authority, as in the case of righteous leaders, the people rejoice and are happy. But when the wicked bear it rule or controls the country, the people mourn and suffer. Whoso loveth wisdom and understanding rejoiceth his father, but he that keepeth company with harlots spendeth his substance. The kind, the king by judgment establishes the land, but he that receiveth gifts overthroweth it. I'll stop at that point because my commentary for tonight is specifically about some of the very same things that I'm reading about. Coincidentally, I came upon this particular section, so I just opened the Bible. I was at Hosea just now when I first opened it, and I decided to go and look on something in the Proverbs era because I know Proverbs usually addresses the issue of the people and the reign of the kings. Uh, what we have going on in our country. Thank you very much for allowing me to indulge in reading of the scripture as well. And like I said, uh, I was lucky to come across a small section there that I choose to read that's reflecting some of what I'm going to talk about. For example, uh, well, I won't get into my topic yet. I'll just do another public uh, caution to our Belizeans at home and those abroad, as a matter of fact, because all over the world we have people driving and accidents are happening. And accidents don't ask permission to happen, but they will happen more oftenly as we allow and provide for them. So I'd just like to say be cautious out there, those of you who are driving, and even those who are not driving, even when you're on the street, you're on a bicycle, a motorcycle, you're just walking, please be attentive, especially during the Christmas season that is coming along and the New Year season when people are drinking and being drunk, merrymaking, being happy, as they say, while at the same time we're losing lives and limbs from drunkenness and carelessness and indifference on the part of some people who feel like they have a right to exercise their prerogatives to drink as much as they want while failing to understand that the exercise of that right come with the accountability for not allowing themselves to be drinking to such a point where they become so drunk and they become incapacitated and or they think that they're still controlling the liquor and they go out there and create mayhem, you know, by driving drunk. They crash their vehicles or hurt other people or do all manner of, treacherous and dangerous stuff. So for those of you who have to drive, those of you who have to interact with the traffic, please be extra cautious. You may not be the person that initiates or causes an accident, but you might be a victim of an accident. All I could say is be cautious. And I'll just proceed into the first part of our program for tonight. And today I had the opportunity to pen a small item. Of course, it wasn't a regular commentary that I repost. It was just a commentary on something else that somebody had posted. And while I don't have word for word that particular commentary or comments, I can recall the context. And I want to bring that forward in my first topic for the night. That is to say, our Prime Minister of Belize, and I see someone in the background. I'm not sure. Oh, it looks like our senior panelist and senior engineer, is in the background. I'm not sure if he's putting on something maybe that he might want to grace us with later on. So I'll just leave him alone, let him do his thing in the background there until he's ready to come on, because he can bring himself on when he's available or ready. Now, I had sent out invitations to a couple other people as well, and since Mr. Wade is not going to be with us, maybe we'll have those other individuals to grace us with their presence if they can make it, and expand the program a little beyond what I had in mind to deal with. I see we have already with us available our next panelist, senior panelist, and senior engineer, Mr. Gregory Brackett. Greg, I'd like to yield to you for your introduction, sir.
Thank you, sir. I
You're welcome.
want to say good night to the people at home and abroad. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this 373rd edition of Belizean Affairs. I also want to thank you, people who tune in after the program, who perhaps may be at work or kind of busy doing something during this upcoming very important holiday season. With that said, I also want to wish everybody a wonderful and blessed holiday. I go back to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. And as I indicated earlier, I was about to jump on a topic that relates to our Prime Minister, Mr. John Briceño. I'm not sure if at this point I should uh, add the title that his office, by virtue of that office, grants him, which is to say, honorable. But because I'm pissed off right now, I'm vexed like hell, I'm besides myself, and I'm not in the mood to be hanky panking and playing no kind of games with words, or trying to be too nicey with people who are acting totally out of order and out of context. And therefore, I don't feel like I deserve, or I have to, or I need to punish myself further by classifying and speaking to these individuals as being honorable, which just their title alone should afford them that right for people to speak to them, including myself as part of those people, with some sense of reverence and respect and regards and consideration. But these gentlemen that I'm about to refer to right now are so onerous, so dastardly. I'll go to the point of say so criminal minded, to the extent that they prefer to indulge in their criminal activity to the exclusion of their responsibilities to govern our country and to accrue the benefits and well being of the country to the benefits and well being of the people. They're all about themselves, all about the big path and the big hustle. To hell with the people and the country. They compromise us, put us in danger, get so deep involved with these cartels and others, then they have other people coming at our necks and putting pressure on us as the Belizean people, as if we have any real control over these demons that we elect and grant the privilege to uh, hide behind our governance power, while they are mistreating us at the same time. I'm going to ask for a little pardon up front, because I'm telling you, right now, I'm not sure if I'm going to get through this show tonight without maybe disrespecting myself or disrespecting the show itself. So I'm just putting that out there up front, and I'm going to try and as hard as I can to avoid having to fall into that trap. But I'm already there. Anyhow, let me preface what I was about to say just now in terms of the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable, or more likely dishonorable, Mr. Johnny Brisenia, who looks at us Belizeans and tell us straight and in our face that we don't have any talent or we lack talent, which apparently is the reason why he can run roughshod over us, do all the craziness that he's doing, instead of doing the good things that he promised that he was going to do if we had elected him, and we elected him twice in a row now, and he still can't get on a horse and ride us to some semblance of good governance. Instead, he's telling us a bogus story that doesn't add up. Then he go back and tell us a different story that doesn't make no sense as far as the first story that he told us is concerned. Such as, for example, the horse throw off Mr. Mai. He is the damn horse. And I think that he wasn't really a real horse. He was more of a donkey than a real horse. Because at least a real horse would have done it graciously, as compared to a donkey that, hard-headed, doesn't take advice from his own local Belizeans who are trying to afford him the opportunity to show and shine and do better for ourselves and our country. Instead, we have to have foreign entities and foreign powers have to put their thumb on his neck, or their boots on his neck, more properly stated, in order for him to do what is right for our country. It takes foreign people to intervene in our national and political and governance affairs. And then we have our Prime Minister hiding behind the veil of governance, and coming to us, the Belizean people, whom he is accountable to, and lying to us and telling us that what he was told that scared his butt so much to the point where he had to go and pitch off Mr. Mai off at cabinet, that it wasn't anything that serious, and that Mr. Mai actually asked to go on leave because he had his problem with his medical issue in terms of his back. And then you have Mr. Mai come out after the fact now and say that the Prime Minister was incorrect in regards to certain statement that he made. We didn't need Mr. Mai to come and confirm or affirm that to us or tell us that. We had known that from before. As a matter of fact, we know what the issues are. And we've been hearing some of those issues on this particular platform preemptively to try and get these knuckleheads to cease and desist some of their messed up actions and behavior, and to not take us down that bad road that we were telling them months ago was going to yield a bad outcome. But of course, we are not part of their cabinet as a part of their secret cabal, where they go into cabinet sessions and conspire against the very same people who elected them, or Belizean people. When they want to go and make bogus laws that contravenes the Constitution, they don't have a problem going ahead and doing it. They have a problem just telling us the basic truth about what kind of issues they are putting us into or getting us mixed up with that will cause us problems long after they are not in office. Because these contracts that they go and sign with these people, these are power people. They're not just powerful in terms of our Belizean governance and being able to haul and pull our governance. They're powerful enough to haul and pull many other government governance, many other countries' governance, including major countries. Not to say the least. Well, I'm not going to indulge in the name calling tonight in terms of names of countries or names of, I'm going to stick to the issue. And the issue is the Prime Minister was so hot to get another term that he cut his first term short and hoodwinked the people into giving him a second term with another expanded 5 years. All so that he can go ahead and continue rang and strong for we governance process and forced for we country and we assets, including the treasury, to yield benefits to him, his colleagues, and the foreigners to whom are giving him little kickback here and there under the table. To hell with us. I want to say as a single Belizean, Mr. Prime Minister, I am one of those people that know where you go, what you go, who you talk to. I am one of those people who have made it my life journey to be in a position to be able to have that level of knowledge, which is why I speak to those issues the way I do, with the vehemence that I do, with the authority that I do. Because when push comes to shove, the only thing one can do is to become physical with me, and that will just accrue physical response to you guys. Mr. Bishenyo, Mr. Musa told you that before. Mr. Musa can tell you that the Prime Minister, Mr. Price, told him that before as well. So you're dealing with a known quantity. How is it that for over 2 years now and more on this particular platform and decades before, none of you ever stepped to the plate to bat any of the pitches that I pitch? I'll make it public now since it's not known. It's because whenever I open my mouth and speak, I have the goods on the butt. I'm scared to make people know what on the thing they don't know and what you guys know that I speak about. But I'm tired of just speaking to it. Either you guys are going to do something about it or you have to suffer the consequences, because there are consequences to be had. I recall Mr. Fonseca said to the teachers, if they didn't celebrate the Guatemalan Independence Day and had the kids come out and march and celebrate the 15th of September, then there will be consequences. I want to stipulate right here and now on this particular show tonight, in addition to what was stipulated back then at the time, Mr. Prime Minister, there will be consequences. I've been giving you warning ahead of time. I've been giving you heads up. I've been trying to give you information that was necessary for you to have in order for you to react appropriately. But you think all the way out here are a bunch of idiots and we don't know nothing. You do not understand how the international arena operates. And until you get to that point, if you stay long enough in government, if you don't get your butt hauled into some prison abroad for some of the various things that you have been doing in our country, because there's the ICC, okay? And also there's the what you call the International Human Rights Commission. I told you before when you was putting those bogus SOEs and your cabinet members as well, that someone who could have ended up at the ICC for charges for brutalizing civilians, for breaking the Constitution and making bogus SOEs that didn't have merits, that taking those people off the street was tantamount to kidnapping and human trafficking. Mr. Gregory Brackett is here tonight on our panel, who had also advocated and pointed out some of those things to us. So we're not talking nothing new. I'm just putting a little emphasis to say what I've said to some of you guys before. Some of you will leave Belize on foreign trips and never get back home. And as much as the US ambassador spoke to you, scared you, but and you reacted to what they're saying to you, you need to react to what we, the Belizean people, are saying to you as well. You cannot just be guided by foreign interests and pressure and powers that are beyond your own reach, and getting scared when they come and discipline you or put you on notice. The ambassador said she could not speak to the things them that she has spoken with you about. But there are agents and counter agents all over the world. Why would she speak to the Belizean people in response to questions that were asked of her and tell us that our country is on the route for the narco traffickers then, and that we are considered to be a narco state by virtue of that reality? Why would she go that far as to make that level that kind of accusation and embarrassment on our country, which is partially correct, but not fully correct? Because we don't have the powers that they have. And unless they render some assistance to us, we will not be able to conquer or deal with that reality. So we ought not to be blamed for something that is totally out of our pay grade. But why would that ambassador speaks in public to the media at that and make reference to drug trafficking and all that kind of craziness, and can't speak to us, or you can't speak to us on any other substantive issues? How much more worse can those be then? I'm monopolizing the show tonight. I'm filling in as temporary chairman because our chairman is not available. And I have other colleagues, senior panelists and senior engineer, Mr. Greg Brackett, with us. And it's not fair for me to monopolize. So therefore, I'll just yield to you, Mr. Brackett, for whatever commentary you want to make in regards to that particular subject. So take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Berkey.
You're welcome.
I want to say that you have been putting out an open speech upon things that have been mentioned on this platform some years ago. And I can see that tonight your advocacy is of one that has a lot of determination and self-preservation in it. But here in Belizean affairs, as we always do, we always show and tell. And this is how we know when these guys are lying, show when they're telling themselves. And just to back you and what you were saying, I want to go back to what happened recently with Mr. Nye. So I will go to the first piece to hear what the Prime Minister had to say, and then I can actually break it down so you, the people at home and abroad, can understand what is happening. I go to the first piece.
We know his record. We know what he has been doing for a very long time. And this is where I think the media, in being sensational on this story, forget that this guy is a monster.
That is the wrong piece. So
Do you want to make a commentary in the meantime?
yes, go ahead and make a comment.
So you can pull up the other one, no? I'll just continue with my personal rant, no? Hopefully, like I said, I'm really seriously upset right now, and I'm holding no words barred, I'm at the point where I really have to say it as it is and stop the sugarcoat some of the things that I try to say sometimes, because people need to know how deep in the hole we are as a people and as a country, and how easily we can be stepped upon and made more irrelevant than we currently are. And all because of our knuckleheaded leaders who think that they're so smart or so bright and or that they can bamboozle our Belizean people and get away with it and do the same with the rest of the world. They ought to know better. I'm not saying that we can stop all drug running coming through our country. We never have been able to do so, and we will never ever be able to do so. As a final conclusion, that we have to get into our heads and have to recognize. Because the people who are running the drugs are all tied into each other's business in the drug making process, in the drug running process, in the drug destination process, and in the drug consumption process. We Belizeans don't consume much of the drugs that's been made abroad.
I am ready, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, sir.
Let me go to the tape to show you the people at home and abroad what is really happening.
Just weeks ago, Jose Abalaramai was one of the most influential voices in Prime Minister Briceño's cabinet. Then, out of nowhere, on November 17th, he resigned, effective immediately. That bombshell came after weeks of swirling controversy, including viral social media posts accusing him of criminal ties and even involvement in the abduction of Joseph Bunna. Claims he flatly denies, calling them a political smear. And if that wasn't enough, the Prime Minister's now famous horse tale only fueled the relentless jokes online. Tonight, my finalist speaks. He tackles every major allegation and first sets the record straight on why he really walked away, even saying the PM got it wrong.
Given all the scandal, I have to keep optimistic. I have work to do in my constituency and I have to keep focused, so I can't be worrying too much about the noise on the market. I have a constituency to care for and I will do that. So I could be better, but it's okay, I'm doing fine.
Were you forced to resign?
No, sir. No. I wrote to the Prime Minister asking him to kindly relieve me of my ministerial duties in order for me to seek medical attention for my spine. Who wants to believe if I am sick or not? It's their business. I'm not saying this to convince any of them. I need to take care of my health first and my constituency and my family. So I had to make the decision. The Prime Minister gave an explanation earlier, which was probably not too accurate. Maybe I should correct his statement. In May of this year, I had surgery on my shoulder. I had an incident on my farm, dislocated my shoulder, and I ripped one of the ligaments. So I had surgery for that on the 3rd of May, my birthday actually, in Merida. My spine is a chronic matter. It has been there for years, I believe, and the older I get, the more severe it becomes. So it is a chronic situation that needs surgery. No, I have to decide when I want to do it, and I've selected this time to do it.
Mai says he must do what is best for himself and his family first, and is not the least bit concerned about whether critics believe his story or not. He admits.
Now, people at home and abroad, Mr. Mai is telling on himself and the Prime Minister. Because if your back is so bad that you had to resign, how come then you were doing other form of work when you dislocated your shoulder? And to have a shoulder dislocate, you either had to be pulling or lifting or doing some strenuous type of work where you end up getting an operation.
Sir,
So make
sir,
it make sense
could
to
you,
me.
could you repeat that for us? Some of us didn't maybe connect or get that point too clearly. Could you just repeat it for emphasis for us?
Again,
I'll keep my hand at my ear so maybe I could hear a little bit.
he said in May he had surgery because he had a dislocation in an incident that happened on his farm. Now, anybody who dislocates their shoulder know they had to be doing some strenuous work. They had to be pulling on something in order for that to get dislocated. Or it might even be a fall. But then if you had a fall and dislocate your shoulder, how come there was no mention of your back problem? Because if it was that affecting you, as is mentioned by the Prime Minister, then you wouldn't have had a dislocation. Let me hear you on that, Mr. Chairman.
With, with pleasure, sir. Thank you very much for indulging me just now in my, my humorous attempt, my attempt at humor then, by asking you to repeat what you were saying so I could hear it a little better because some of us may not have heard you correctly. I did heard you correctly. So in a sort of way, I was probably doing like Mr. Briceño does, conflating. I was doing so for emphasis in a provocative manner. In other words, I was trying to take some of the sadness off of my chest and try to be funny for a little while, you know, and just lighten the air, try to take off some of the pressures of that. Because like I said earlier in the program, I'm seriously pissed off, and how I come off tonight in this program may say a lot more about me than people have found out in the past. But to your specific question, sir, I want to say that the Prime Minister has indulged himself in being a chronic liar over so many years, literally years, to the point, and if he wants me to go to court and maybe respond to any of his wishes to say that I'm being malicious towards him and or that I'm defaming him, I can assure him and anyone else who is willing to hear what I have to say and why is it that I describe what I describe about the gentleman the way I do. I got the goods on the man. So whenever you're ready to haul in a court, he's welcome. I never touch these subjects and go out on a limb without having enough to help support myself on that limb, just in case that limb decide to broke or somebody jump on there and make it broke. The man cannot be defamed if he doesn't have a fame, or the fame that he has is malignant fame. No court going to obtain a case and rule against somebody who is telling the truth. You cannot be defamed with the truth, especially if you don't have any kind of fame that merits good character. If you're dealing with treacherous and evil and malignant stuff and people point it out to you, you can't accuse them of defaming you because you're subject to a counter libel suit, and you will end up losing your original case as well as the counter suit. If Mr. Briceño don't understand those mechanics, maybe he could ask Mr. Courtney. Mr. Courtney understand. Mr. Coy understand. And all the other lawyers, Godfrey, everybody understand. Most lawyers who are worth their salt will tell you that you cannot have defamation of character, if the issue that you want to use as the basis for maligning of your character is truthful, you cannot be liable with the truth. The truth is a detergent for libel. So therefore, when these gentlemen, they come out in public and they lie to us, the Belizean people, so repeatedly and with such vehemence, and take us all for fools, they have to remember that maybe, just maybe, some of us are not as fool as they think that we all are. So, Mr. Prime Minister, when you go there and lie to the Belizean people, as a matter of fact, while the Budna issue was going on, before they charged the affair, called you in and spoke to you, Mr. Jules Vasquez on his show, to which we have many of those same clippings, as a matter of fact, and we have spoken about some of them on our particular platform, had been pointing out that there was something stink in cabinet. And he was asking questions of the Prime Minister, to which the Prime Minister just brushed those questions off. Ms. Marisol also asked certain questions, and she was brushed off. Why? Because the Prime Minister doesn't have to answer to nobody if he don't want to. How the hell did he get at that conclusion? I don't know. Because as Prime Minister, he's accountable to the public. He's dealing with public affair, the public's business. He's getting paid by the public to do the public's business. It is not his own personal business he's doing when he's running the country of Belize. He needs to get that in his head and be aware of that and stop playing shenanigans and pretend that he has paid for his votes of the people who vote for his party in such large number to give him such a massive mandate. And therefore, he had the impression that with that massive mandate that he paid for, he basically owns the system of governance and or the prerogatives of governance. It's a trust that he has and that has been granted to him that he is abusing. And he cannot be doing that or should not be doing that. But because nobody takes his butt, haul him into court, no judge in the country would be willing to rule against him, to give the public the benefit of what the Constitution requires.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead, sir.
The question.
I know I haven't answered your question.
The question is still there. How can someone with a caliber bad back, as was mentioned, end up doing an operation for a dislocated arm? Where in a dislocation there has to be excessive lifting. You had to have got a hit, as in an accident, or you were pulling on something. Make it make sense, please.
To start with, if Mr. Mai had been injured the way they are not claiming or trying to claim that he was injured, he would have been incapacitated long before now. It wouldn't be just now, after suffering for so long. At least during that period of suffering, he would have been showing some signs of hurt. He would have had pain. Of course, maybe he might be taking medication for the pain.
But, Mr. Chairman, isn't it true? If you have an issue in your back, around your L5 or L8, I would assume.
That would have been a serious injury, sir.
How come can you be doing heavy lifting or whatever you were doing to dislocate one of your arms? That is not ringing a bell.
Well, Mr. Brackett, I could say that because Mr. Mai was dealing with a lot of cattle ranching work, which not only includes uh, catching cows with um with ropes, you know, and doing all kind of manly efforts, you know. I mean, riding his horse, you know. I mean, a lot of stuff them man to do strenuous works and think will happen. I, I know enough to understand that there is the possibility that the gentleman could have been
Thank,
hurt.
thank
But
you, Mr.
my
Brackett.
point just a minute, sir. 1 second. Let me. My point would be that if the gentleman was seriously injured, how come it took so long from the time he got injured, so long ago? We're talking about months and probably maybe over a year. That he would have been going through those processes without showing any signs in public, in all the public endeavors that he undertook for the last I don't know how many years. He had shown during that period of time till now no signs of being injured or hurt. But how come as soon as the American consulate, the American ambassadors charged of him, called in the prime minister and spoke to the prime minister, Mr. Mai problem became the issue of the day with an alternative um, storyline, other than the fact that the man first they say he was asked to resign, then secondly he he's not resigning because that will cause a by election. He's just going on leave, and that the government is going to look after his medical expenses by him staying and not going on leave, and that he is claiming that he needs to look after his how the hell are you going to be looking after constituencies if he can't even look after them while being a minister and helping himself and his constituency to some of the largesses and legacies of, of, of governance? Who fool does he think and the prime minister think?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, let me put
I
this
yield,
together so you and the
I yield.
people at home and abroad can see what is happening. Because when you do the sequence, it will show exactly what I'm speaking about. Now, I just spoke about that dislocation. Let me go to another tape and listen to what Mr. Ma is saying.
Oh, the media, is in particular, one or two media houses have just all they have is allegations. If there was any evidence, it would have been set forth already. I have done nothing wrong, and I have done nothing illicit, and there is no evidence to prove that of me.
But have you been threatened by the cartels?
Absolutely not, sir. No, sir. None at all. I don't even know who cartel members are. I don't want to know them, and I don't want them to know me. I just read what I see from the cartels in Mexico. It's just horrible. And I think that some media people just keep repeating these people's names. And I think they don't understand the level of danger that they get themselves into when you do that. Because you didn't want to mention those people's names. Those people, from what I see, I mean, look at the Belizeans traveling through Mexico. I mean, they extort them, they beat them, they torture them, and you are going to mention these people's name? No, sir. I have never, that I know of, had any contact with these people, and I don't want to have contact with them, don't intend to have contact with them, and I don't want them to know me or have contact with me, none at all. I keep away from those things. Those are very delicate matters, life-threatening. You don't want to get involved with these people. So I have never, sir, never contacted those people or been in contact with them that I know of. Now, we must understand that nobody walks around with a sign on the shirt that says, I'm a cartel. But that I know of consciously, sir, no, never.
Now, people at home and abroad, let me put this out there because when you have good journalists like Mr. Vasquez who does investigative work, there's also other individuals that can dissect tape and do investigative work. And I always say these people telling themselves. And here in Belizean affair, we always show and tell. No, you heard Mr. Mai said he read about what the cartel is doing. He see what all they are going on with, all their bad things, and how the Belizean newscasts are talking about names and all that can happen. And he has never met them, he has no dealing with them, and all this. But to put the point clearly, if you have been doing this and you are the Minister of Agriculture that also deals with the free zone, how come for years Mr. Vasquez and other news media have been speaking about cigarettes and other things moving through the free zone? And you know all about what's going on with the cartel, but you never mention anything in concerning to these cigarettes allegations that has been coming in and shipped through Belizean borders down south. So for you to get a news media and says you read about them, you hear what they do bad things, you hear what Belizean news person is saying about it, and you as the Minister of Agriculture, you are trying to tell me that you hear nothing or never mention nothing about what is happening in the free zone, is to say birds of one feather flock together, because your narrative is one of the same the Prime Minister is bringing when they all are saying and following, we haven't seen the tape. We haven't seen the Budna kidnapping tape. So the narrative is one of telling on yourself and telling on the Prime Minister. I go back to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, sir. How dare this gentleman sees nothing, hears nothing, and knows nothing? And he's the minister of the department that controls where everything is going on. Does Belizeans know that many a times those trucks that go into the free zone with materials that come from abroad in the shipping, okay? They ship them in at the ships, then pick them up, then put the tow head on them and pull them, carry them up to Corozal, or usually initially Corozal. And before they had all them big warehouse that are being built there now, okay? I don't know what percent of the population, I believe, travel the Northern Highway and realize that you cannot get to the free zone in order to, you can't even get to the border without passing police checkpoints. And those checkpoints are not staffed only by police, they are staffed by the BDF. If you don't have a justifiable reason, you cannot proceed beyond mile, I think it's, I'll give a number, but I think I might be wrong. But I'll just give a number. I think it's miles 7, mile 80 something. It's close to the free zone though. You cannot get to see what's going on behind there. Other than if you pass there, you'll see big areas being cleared out for massive warehouse building and storage. I recall one person was asked about the cigarette issue. And the response of that person was that, well, they don't keep check on what the people in the free zone are doing. They don't know what comes in and goes out. What the hell they don't know? That's customs responsibility. Instead of harassing regular poor Belizeans where they buy only couple dollars worth of thing there, and like what they said the other day, arbitrary and capricious, so they put up checkpoint and then make who pass, they make who they want pass and who they don't want pass, or whatever. There was a time in Belize, in the history of Belize, when big sections of our highway was being shut down deliberately to land small planes. And only some people knew about it, not the whole country. A lot of things going on in Belize that most people don't know. And if you tell them or try to explain to them, they say you either lie or you make believe. But the people who know and who have the power to make things be the way they are, make things be the way they are because they're on the take. There are big people in the police department that knows, big people in the BDF that knows, there are big people in the Coast Guard that knows, there are big people in the ministries that knows, there are big people in some of the well, I wouldn't say in some of the in cabinet that knows, and everybody denies in cabinet of knowing anything that has to do with everything that's going on in Belize. How the hell can you be a government of a country and knows nothing, sees nothing, and hears nothing? And you don't expect other people will impugn your country or stigmatize your country? Well, of course, some of them don't care anyhow, right? Because as far as they're concerned, it's all about the big hustle and the big profiteering. The Prime Minister going to go and meet foreign dignitaries, as they call it, and foreign business people, as he calls it, because these people are really business people, you know? But he don't know nothing about them. He doesn't report to us Belizeans anything about them, or even about the mission and the people that he go and meet and what he talks to them or deal with them about. Other than when they come to Belize and they're in Belize and then they cut tape for different ventures that they're launching. Oh, it's investors. He doesn't tell us what kind of investors. But I recall that under the UDP, a minister of defense was sacked. I can be gratuitous and call the man name. I don't have to, because we all know the history and the particular circumstance I'm making reference to. But I don't see the PUP government sacking nobody. That's not supposed to hear, supposed to see, supposed to speak nothing or know nothing about everything that's going on. They sit in cabinet and conspire, when in fact they're supposed to be looking after the affairs of the people.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Are you back,
it
sir?
is ludicrous to have someone could read all about what is happening way in Mexico. Therefore, he should be seeing a Mexican newspaper that is calling his name and saying who all on the Belize side is involved. So if he's reading what is happening over there, he should know that. No, I want to play a tape, Mr. Chairman, because after I play this tape, I will say something that will really put it together. Let me play the tape.
I always remember in December of 2020 when I had my first meeting, official meeting with the officials at the U.S. Embassy at Sharjah. I think Leila was her name. And towards the end of the meeting, she said, so Prime Minister, what is it that keeps you up awake at night? And I said, the drug cartel's infiltration into Belize. One thing to, I said, we need to do everything possible to keep them out. I just wrote a letter to President Sheinbaum from Mexico, asking for her intervention to say, listen, you need to bring more forces at the border to be able to get these people off on the border and get them off the streets. We decided to move Enterprise with the police so then they could have a better overlook or of what's going on at the free zone. And yes, we have to tighten the controls as to people coming in and out from in the zone to be able to ensure that we could keep the safety of Belizeans and to try to keep these people out of the country.
My understanding, PM, is that cigarettes are king in free zone, and that's the cause of all of this cartel wars and issues that are taking place there. What about perhaps regulations that speak to the importation and the distribution of cigarettes out of the free zone?
Well, I think that first of all, I don't think you're fully correct. I mean,
Okay.
that cigarettes is just but one item. There are lots of
primary
items
is-
that they
I
pass, but
understand it's
that's only
king.
one of them. But I would not even say king, but there are a lot of goods that come into the free zone that go on into the other side, into Mexico. But we checked with the Ministry of Foreign Trade, with the technical people there, about trying to control or limit the cigarettes. What I'm told, or what they told Ambassador Del said, is that under the WTO regulations, we just can't really stop it.
No, Mr. Chairman and people at home and abroad. How can the Prime Minister, who is not the Minister of Agriculture, know all these things, went to Cabinet and secure $1 million to help fight cartels, and we never one day or no time ever heard the minister who is responsible, who was Mr. Mai, had a sat-down talk with the Prime Minister about what's going on in the free zone. We had never heard that. Isn't that very strange that the Prime Minister would know what is going on, but the minister whose portfolio that was referred to would not know nothing at all? No, that seems highly
Like-
impossible.
Like you
I
said
go to
earlier.
you, Mr.
Yeah,
Brackett.
No. I'll let you stay with the focus. Like you said before, make it make sense. I yield back.
It cannot make sense. It cannot make sense because when you listen to what is said, it's totally out of context. Here is one that is out of context. Listen to it.
I have to not worry about all the noise on the market and all the Facebook claims. Some have been very, very rude, some have been very mean, but that's expected. That's human behavior. I used to oppose the UDP a lot when I was in opposition, so I expect them to do the same. But some people have been extremely, extremely offensive, extremely provocative, extremely disrespectful.
There's also them trying to allude in that you had something to do with the extraction of Joseph Budna. Did you have anything to do with that?
No, sir. No, sir. As far as I know, Mr. Boda was a reporter. One time he interviewed me on a matter, but I've never had anything to do with that matter, sir.
No, you heard what he said, and you heard his complaint about Facebook. But this is the same former minister who says he pays Facebook no attention, that he reads only what is going on with the cartels and the bad things they are doing. So how come you don't know about the bad things they're doing in the free zone? And bad things as in trying to execute two individuals from the free zone, that a bulletproof vehicle had to be in there, bulletproof vest was going to be bought, and one of the shooting even happened way in Belize.
Mr. Racket, let me say it to
Go
the
ahead,
public.
sir.
Let me say it to the Belizean public, because we're speaking to things that a lot of Belizeans seriously don't understand how it operates or what's going on. They hear, like Mr. Maya said, the change in the market. Okay, the rattle wrong. And I tell you, Mr. Mai, know that he's been put under discipline. He's trying to wiggle his way now and pretend that he was not one of the hard-nosed ones, and that was giving so much power and support to the Prime Minister for him to totally disregard the constitution of the country and just run the damn country as a dictator and as a, they want to accrue all this power to themselves and be accountable to nobody. What the hell do you think would happen to our country if these guys were to succeed in the agenda that they started off with when they first came into office? And from then we've been battling them. Because they don't know that we see what they want to do and we get to the corner of the lane and stand up in front of them so that they don't get to do it as easily as they think that they should be able to do it. And that's why they resent and get vexed with Facebook and anybody that would point out to the general public what is it that these guys are after, what they're doing, and why they're trying to do what they do. But the bottom line is that Mr. Mai, in some of the things that you played just now, a few of the clips then, quite a bit of the things that he was saying makes sense in the proper context of how we are supposed to understand what was going on. Some other parts of it is, is what I call fluffing or flowing or whatever, it attacks on truth, so it could sound contrite, but at the same time, it attack crap about people not supposed to call names and not supposed to explain this thing so other people could get to learn and understand and know, because it's dangerous and these people are dangerous, and therefore, look for me and where I may do wrong. In fact, I consider that I was doing anything wrong because I'm already denying that I'm involved in anything that's wrong. He tell you that up front. He was not involved. But he's going to tell you he was not involved, and you're supposed to take what he says, and that's better than the fact that he was involved. He was caught red-handedly, is the way that you normally put it. He was caught with his hand in the cookie jar. But he don't come out here and tell us, as the public, he don't see nothing, he don't hear nothing, he don't know nothing. He's not involved with these people. If these people were to take him seriously, they will wipe him off. Because you cannot be a member of that organization and speak ill of it or try to deny it. Once you're in, you're 100% in, and the only way you come out is in a casket. He is smart enough to know that. He's experienced enough to know that. He's knowledgeable enough to know that. He sees enough to know that. He reads enough, as he says, to know that. So why do you think that he won't belittle himself and try to come and lie to we when he say that not so? That means that we're supposed to know more than he then.
Mr. Chairman.
One point before I go, I'll give it right back to you, sir. Regarding the free zone, some Belizean by now realize that the cartel are in the free zone. But it's not just one cartel. If Mr. Mai would want to be honest and frank with the Belizean people, he would speak to what he knows and help us to be in a position to not find yourself where these cartel people are ending up doing with Belize what they did to Mexico. Because Belize can't sustain that kind of devastation and mayhem. Now, do we have the military means by which to fight any of these cartels? We don't even got no support from the people who got the abilities to be able to fight the cartel. As a matter of fact, the cartel bring all the drugs them to America. And who stopped them? Not the mighty American military. In fact, they're right there now in Venezuela, talking about trying to stop the cartels them in Venezuela. When cartels are not only in Venezuela, just recently we hear about cartel in Venezuela. The cartels were always in Colombia and other countries, Panama, Guatemala, Honduras. Then they just let go the man when he's charged with 40 odd years that was president of Honduras. Honduras is a much bigger country than Belize. It has much more military capability to fight the cartel than Belize. Why you not hear for their naming at the news as often as you hear Belize? Do you know that America could wipe Belize economy off of the face of the map by just stigmatizing us as they have been doing as being a transshipment place, and that Americans are not allowed to go there because it's so hot with all the killings that's going on in Belize? There are two cartels right now in the Belize free zone who are battling each other for supremacy. They don't just want to exist and coexist and just do their business. Each of them want to have full control. That's how they operate. They don't tolerate nobody they moving from their territory or for their area or for their whatever. That's why I have a lot of mass murdering in Mexico, in different districts in Mexico.
But you know what, Mr. Chairman? I disagree with the Americans in Latin America. And I would say this because of the money upstream. Because they have known from narrative to do such things, to do regime change, just to get a puppet government that will go along with them. But I want to go back to what I was about to say. I want to go to take people at home and abroad to see and show exactly what is happening and how these people are caught. Here is a tape, and I want you to listen to the first part of the tape. At the first beginning, listen to what the Prime Minister has to say.
I think I've been very clear, and I will repeat it again, that our government is not involved. The government of Belize did not sanction any kidnapping of any citizen of this country. When it started off, people were saying, okay, they want that we take this on and to have some kind of investigation. Okay, we did. We asked the police and even the commissioner of police was asked to excuse himself just whilst we do a thorough investigation within the police and see what evidence they can get. When we got that, I think that we felt, I think it's where it should have been all along, is to go to the DPP. A lot of people. I'm coming to that. I'm coming. If you are giving me a chance, I'll answer you because I know you're going to bring that up. We do not have anything in our laws to have an independent investigations. We do not have it in the law, so we can't do that. Only the police can investigate. Only the DPP can prosecute. So what is it that we did? We followed the law. Give it to the DPP. No, the DPP basically look at what we have, and yes, I know about her concerns. But that's where it starts. You give her something to the DPP, and then they go to the police and say, okay, I need this, and then they start the actual investigation. And so that's where we are. Yeah. But we can't have any. We watch a lot of TV, and American TV, we have special prosecutors, and we do not have that in the law. So we're following the law.
PM, but at the end of all of that, the Director of Public Prosecutions come forward and says what was handed over to her.
But I just said that. I've already agreed with you that that she said the file was not enough, but no, so no, she needs to build on that when working with the police.
So here's my question, PM. All of this happened in your backyard, in your constituency in Orange Walk Central, right?
There have been many killings in Belize City, murders in Belize City in the backyard of the
Understood.
I don't think you could try to hold me responsible because that happened in Orange Walk.
Hear me out.
But I just need to answer that immediately. You can't hold me responsible for that.
And I'm not saying
so. They won't even mention it.
Hold on. All I'm saying is, in a political constituency, you would know certain things that happen in that particular area, right? I'm almost certain that
I don't know when criminal activity is happening in Orange Walk Central.
But this was something that immediately garnered public attention. And the scale of it, one would think you would know, or someone would have informed you, hey, PM, this just happened in your backyard.
No, that's actually no. What happened is that until the following day, I heard rumors about that Budna disappeared. And once they're talking that they found him dead by Honeycomb. That was Saturday. And then afterwards, they found out that it was not Budna.
Now, Mr. Chairman and people at home and abroad, exactly what I was just speaking about with Mr. Mike. The Prime Minister knows all about what is happening in the free zone, about cartel, trying to get the Mexican government to bring troops and all that is happening there, but he don't know what is happening in his own constituency where he have his electors that elected him. Now can you imagine that? And I will tell you why. Because they know for a fact it was an extrajudicial kidnapping and there is gross cover up. And you know how that has been proven? Because of what he said and because of this.
Corporal Carlos Choco, he was the NCO in charge at the Orange Walk police station on the night of August 22nd. And he was the one who went to see what was the disturbance across the street from the station. When he got there, he found 3 police officers beating a man on the ground, a man we now know as Ryan Joseph Budna. A police officer identified as Constable Barry Flowers walked over to wave off Choco and allegedly tell him they were on a mission for a senior officer. Choco dutifully went about his business and even got a concerned civilian to do the same. In a secret, never-before-heard recording, Choco can be heard telling a fellow officer that he gave a true statement saying what Barry Flowers allegedly told him. And then, in the ACP Suzette Anderson investigation, he was made to give another at the urging of a senior officer. In that one, he was made to say he did not recognize the kidnappers.
The second statement, make he not recognize the person there and everything else. Me do me ask me, but I tell tell them not to do that. Tell me make I rate them where I see. So the first one where I rate, that way Mr. Kowa tell me to rate the truth. So I rate the truth and everything. That statement they got my original signature. The second statement where they want me to do, I just do one meeting and that's not my signature. Because I'm worried too, because I don't want to write nothing and at the end of the day, they trying for me.
And not only was he made to give a false statement, that statement was also falsely backdated.
Friday was the original statement. Then they just backdate the one where they want for the 23rd, they're making sure that they do something the 23rd. This 23rd, the 23rd of August, because this happened on the 22nd, right? Mm-hmm. So the 23rd, they backdate the statement for the 23rd, which were like, yeah. But the original statement where I make, the Friday, I think they made the 5th.
The 5th of September.
Yeah, the 5th.
And that second bogus statement from a police eyewitness to the kidnapping is part of the file that the DPP characterized so harshly.
And I apologize as a director for saying this, but I was also expecting that there would have been nothing in the file. What I was not expecting was that there would be less than nothing in the file, which is really my characterization of what has been put before me.
So how can you sit today and say as the Prime Minister, as you heard at the beginning of the tape I played, you want to say like the Commissioner said, no government was involved. That is ludicrous.
Mr. Brackett, can I interject a little bit there, sir?
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Let's put a little, okay, let's box up this Budna sordid affair and put a nice little ribbon on top of it. Since Christmas, the concert close. Okay? I'm sounding a little facetious, right? I'm going to do what the DPP hasn't done yet, and the senior police investigator lady apparently didn't do, which is why the DPP could classify what was submitted to her as being less than nothing. Mr. Jules Vasquez is doing a hell of a lot more investigation than the police department and has produced information relevant to keeping this case as a viable and valid case in the public arena, if not necessarily, hopefully, when the court case starts. But that's a little bit far beyond this present point in time. So let's deal with from this present point in time backwards. And I'll go to the inception of why is it and how is it that this matter, the Bunna sordid affair, came about. Quickly, because I can't use up all the rest of the show, and probably that's what it would take to do it all in proper detail. Months before Mr. Budna had an issue with the Prime Minister, he had issues with many other northern representatives of the current government, elected representative of the current government. He had problems with Mr. Mai. He had problems with Mr. Bernard, who came to bat on behalf of his the gentleman. I don't know if the gentleman was a full doctor, but anyhow, the gentleman was working as a hospital agent who assaulted Mr. Budna, and the police officer right there in that was present did not do anything about it. And Mr. Budna wanted to lay prosecution claims, and therefore Mr. Bernard came to bat on behalf of his subordinate. Mr. Budna had problems with Mr. Munche. Munche, they call him. I forgot the gentleman's name. So anyhow, what we all know, or at least most people should know, if they're from the north particularly, who Mr. Munche is. Anyway, I still trying to remember his name. But the bottom line is that within less than 48 hours after Mr. Budna had a hard exchange with the Prime Minister, to which Mr. Budna characterized that exchange as if the Prime Minister could have been able to beat him, he would have probably beat him right there and then that same day. Within less than 48 hours, Mr. Budna was kidnapped, beaten down, transferred illegally as an extrajudicial extradition out of the country, which amounts to, again, human trafficking, which is an international violation of international law as well as Belizean law. And make it worse, to a neighboring country of Belize that is hostile to Belize and is claiming Belize territory, basically our mortal enemy. Okay? They never send out to Mexico or Honduras or Cuba or no other else place. They send out to our number one mortal enemy, who's trying to wipe us off of the face of the earth, basically. From the time Mr. Budna had that hard conversation with the Prime Minister, someone on behalf of the Prime Minister, with the Prime Minister's acquiescence, now I'm getting a bit technical in my legal expressions because there's reason for doing it like that, on his behalf, at his acquiescence, was able to then gain the acquiescence of the Commissioner of Police to allow subordinate of his in the special division to undertake this mission and recruit individuals who are already tainted individuals who, by virtue of doing something like this, would have been getting some kind of like kudos from the superiors, okay? Because that's what it was all about. Everybody claimed that they know nothing about it. They have not been involved. But who could have suborned the Commissioner of Police? who could have suborned the commissioner of police to have all of these matters that was done during the Budna affair so lined up so quickly within less than 48 hours? Where did that authority and that veracity and that ability to be able to suborn these police officers at different levels to carry out that sordid affair? It was because they had, like the man said, come from powerful superiors. And all the superiors are denying that they had anything to do with it. But it served all of their purposes. The first thing the commissioner came out and said, he can guarantee that no police officer was involved. I don't think that he had seen probably that tape with the police officer walking, or that he thought that anybody else in Belize would have seen that tape, because he wouldn't have made an idiot of himself to make such an outlandish statement. Because as much as us, some of us students who can't see correctly or see good enough, there is enough of us that can see good enough and see correctly, and know that police officers was involved, as in regards to that police officer, sergeant, corporal, Choco, who went to try and investigate what was happening, and who wrote in the diary his correct assessment of what took place. That is that he was suborned by superior officers who came and told him that more powerful officers were behind what they were doing, and therefore he should not get involved. And he went and told other officers to write what they saw or what was correct, because he did not want to be suborned, or he did not want to, after the fact, be found liable for aiding and abetting a crime that he should have, in his police officer's responsibility as the commanding officer at the time, should have dealt with that matter or done something or called for additional backup to make sure that what happened to Mr. Budna could not have continued or should not have continued. But for the fact that powerful police officers, higher ranks than him, suborned him. And the records that he made, the entry that he made into the diary or the book disappeared. The tapes then disappear. Nobody claimed that they have seen the tapes or that they know of any tapes that exist. The tapes were taken down from half of the okay, and they're not available for nobody else to go and do no new investigation. And the Prime Minister demanded that all the investigation material come to him for him to decide what they was going to do after discussing it in cabinet, which, according to the whole history now, after the fact, with hindsight now, when you put all those bits and pieces together, we can see that the Prime Minister allowed for time for them to stall, for them to produce a bogus report for which he claimed that he had sent Mr. Commissioner Rosado into what was it, 45 days or something like that, on leave, because he was displeased that the report wasn't done substantive enough. For all you know, the report was done good enough. But since the commissioner produced a report maybe at that time that inculcate or implicate the Prime Minister or somebody that is close to the Prime Minister.
Mr. Chairman, I want to say this. You can know if you listen to cases and you study the law and you watch how people react to things, it will tell you a lot about that individual. Because of this Budna scenario, I want you, the people at home and abroad, listen to how the Prime Minister is trying to use the reverse psychology and spin the narrative.
Yeah, Greg, before you go there, before you go there, can I make one other comment about the Prime Minister? Why was the Prime Minister so deliberately intent on getting that report, his hands on that report? And why is it that after he got his hand on that report, when I kept on saying over and over that that report, if it was done correctly, would have been pointing more likely than not at him? From the time this thing happened, everybody that have heard me speak to this matter on our particular platform had heard me say the very same thing. Why was he so in a hurry to put his hand on that stuff? And what was it that he was trying to hide or exculpate? Now he's coming with his nonsense on the last tape that you played, with one of the tapes that you just played earlier tonight, saying that the DPP is the correct agent that the report should have gone to. Or that if the DPP don't have a good enough report, she can request now a proper report. After the whole damn thing has been undermined, and the report amongst them now to not a proper police investigative report, you're going to go back and ask the same police officers and police people to produce a different report now. That is to say they didn't do a good report in the beginning. So and throw them under the bus as well, because that's the implication. If they are to do any report that is different from the one that they had done before, when it was done at the highest level of the police department, what is there to be hidden, and why is it that the police department is covering up, and for who and why? How come all these powerful entities are playing hanky-panky with whose acquiescence? As I said, is it likely that acquiescence is from the Prime Minister, on whose behalf the whole of this sordid matter got undertaken? I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, I would say this to you, the people at home and abroad also. If you put aside all that you have mentioned and all that was said about this Budna's kidnapping and the way that the investigation has gone, the Prime Minister, if he did not step out of bounds in trying to prevent justice, he would not have been trying to flip the script, as I was saying before. You only do that to protect yourself.
And others.
Because now what he is doing is coming to the public by spinning the narrative so that the public will side with him and what he's saying. And I want you to hear the tape. Listen to what he's saying.
We know his record. We know what he has been doing for a very long time. And this is where I think the media, being sensational on this story, forget that this guy is a monster. I mean, I did not see any of you out there crying out for the 16-year-old that was killed, was mistakenly killed when he was in the bedroom with Mr. Budna. Or when Mr. Budna have raped young boys. I didn't hear any of you all out there crying out loud for justice for these people, but yet you're crying out for justice for Mr. Budna. So, you can't hold me responsible if something happening in Orange Park Central. I don't know what criminal activities are going on in Orange Park Central.
You heard how he is flipping the script? He called Mr. Budna a monster, and you heard the things he said about him, knowing that some of the public is saying that he deserves to be where he is at because of what he has done. But in all the flipping of the script that the Prime Minister just said, what had Mr. Budna been charged with and convicted of here in Belize? Nothing. Nothing. So flipping the script is not helping to put away the constitutional issue of what was done to Mr. Budna. No, the monster part, as we have been seeing the Prime Minister doing, he has went after Mr. Vasquez's father. Now he's going after Mr. Budna as a monster. But then, if we as the public want to flip the script, there are different kinds of monster. Because what type of monster would you call someone who is selling drugs that is killing innocent people? from different walks of life. So, when you want to flip a script, you must be careful how you flip it because there are different kinds of monsters. And it is true. As you said, nobody was out there crying for the young boys, whatever might be so. But how much people have been crying for people who have been killed by drugs, overdose, all those crap. So we need to watch narrative because when you flip narrative to try to get away from what is unjustified, you want to make it different. Mr. Chairman, we have come to the end.
I have a comment to make quickly before we close off on that same piece that you just showed. And that is where I had earlier said tonight I posted a comment. I was looking for it just now and I couldn't find it. But I'll attempt to try and remember how it went. So I'll try and say it or relate it now. Based on that same tape that you just played, I made a comment earlier today to say that Mr. Budna, okay, no, let me start. I said the Prime Minister of Belize, Mr. John Briceño, and his cabinet members, as well as the large supermajority legislative body that we gave him, were all empowered with our powers of governance to take care of our country and our people. Mr. Budna was not empowered with those authorities. So he did not have an opportunity to use those powers and authorities of state to commit any of the crimes that he committed. I'm not exculpating him for whatever crimes he may have committed. Justice should take care of that. And he was running around in Belize for years and not being taken to court on those matters and or to prison on being convicted on those matters. So Mr. Budna couldn't use any powers of state to exculpate him, to commit any of his crimes, or to exculpate himself from any of the crimes that he had committed. But the question is, did the Prime Minister, his cabinet, and others did so? That is, to use the powers of governance, the powers of state, to commit crime and to then attempt to cover it up and put us in an international crisis. Because the Budna affair is such. It's an international crisis. They made it so. And now they're trying to wash their hands off it by saying that the man was a criminal and whatever else not. Nobody's arguing the point as to whether Mr. Budna was a criminal or not. That is not the focus of this debate or questioning. This is a debate over powers of governance, the authority of the state, and the ultra-virus of our constitution, the wanton violation of our constitutional rights as a people. That's what the government has been doing to Belizeans, not just Mr. Budna. So don't come to me, Leonard Brackett, and tell me craziness, but when Mr. Budna did before or didn't do, or how much more time he should spend in jail, or because he's a monster, or because what? Are you saying that Mr. Budna was any more of a monster than the governor, than the people in government who have the power of governance and who committed a much more heinous crimes than any of the crimes that he had committed against us? Make that make sense, like you always say, Mr. Brackett. I yield back, sir, for your
Chairman, we have come to the end of tonight's program. 373rd edition of Belizean Affairs. And I want to thank all the people that have tuned in and those who will tune in after we have departed. would like to say good night to you, the people at home and abroad, and thank you once again until our Friday edition of Constitution Night. Thank you, and please greetings again to you.